Okay, so we have fairly good lighting from this angle. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, depending on when I actually choose to upload this video, but it's evening right now. And I don't know, I just had this urge to get on the camera and kind of share, some thoughts that have been going through my mind. I caught myself kind of rehearsing these conversations aloud and realized, well, shit, I should probably get on camera and, see where it goes. You know, the challenge, I think in what it is I do and, personal development and people that discuss higher knowledge is grounding the wisdom so people can actually relate to it, they could connect to it and then they could actually learn from it, because, I mean, what the fuck do I look like? Going to a bar with a bunch of friends and start to discuss mineral deficiencies, but to me, I understand that just as an individual, change and accepting and applying higher knowledge is a very slow and gradual process, and that I am merely a reflection of everybody else, and the world, right? And all the people that live in it, it's going to take some time for them to change as well. But leaving pieces of profound knowledge, kind of cultivating and planting seeds in people's minds, regardless of what stage they are or, what types of activities they engage in, I think can be the ripple effect to some significant changes in this reality for the good of everybody, including myself, because in all actuality, I mean, I do agree with the metaphor of, the Matrix motion pictures, that this is like a mission, right? For people like me to actually understand and accept that they indeed are in a matrix complex that has institutionalized and socialized our way of life to the point of where we are so misinformed and discombobulated that any ray of sunshine that enlightens truth can easily be misinterpreted as judgment or some type of attack on the person's character and where they stand, when in no actuality, people that actually go out of their way to share their insight, to share their wisdom, to share some type of information that could potentially change somebody's life for the better, that is the most compassionate and most selfless activity somebody can engage in, okay? Of course, there's people that do it for malevolent intents, for profit, for attention, things of this nature, but ultimately it is the information that must be accounted for in the equation, because it's insane, I really have to like plug in and find a way to ground higher knowledge, right? Find a way to remind people of what they've already known but just have forgotten, okay? But that's what I feel separates the individuals that just kind of give up hope on society, give up hope on people and just humanity as a whole, and those that actually are willing to go into the slums, to go into the strip clubs, to go into the crack houses, to go into these places that have just been abandoned and actually start to find a way to bridge that gap and actually pick up the people that need this information the most. And that's who I've always been. Because, like I said, going back to the first example, what the fuck do I look like talking about vitamin deficiencies, right? Or the quality of food at a party or a club or some type of bar, right? You know, that is out of context. That might not be as effective as, I mean, at least wait till they sober up, correct? But nevertheless, you know, it is a mission, right? I think that people have to, in some way, shape, or form, find a way to bridge that gap. And even with, to bridge that gap, it takes a while to close it, right? When you have a gap and you see how far it's going to take to reach a specific audience, you realize, damn, this might take a while. You know, you got to start, talking to them about things that they could relate to, things that they could, you know, everybody is limited based on their belief system, based on their biases, based on what they've learned, who they think they are, etc., etc. So there's a lot of leeway for those types of self-empowering messages to be delayed. Okay, and believe me, I've experienced it within my family. I've experienced it. I still do experience it. With like intimate partners. Things of this nature. It just, we have to, right, find a way. I mean, nobody has to do anything, but if you are in the realm of personal development, any form of higher knowledge onto the populace, we have to, I believe, find a way to actually make esoteric thought, make divine principles, make universal laws cool yet again, right? Because it's the coolest shit that ever existed, right? All that other, bullshit that they portray on popular culture is just kind of like water under the bridge, right? Compared to where we came from. But again, I understand that it does take time, right? I can't expect anybody, even myself, to just like wake up all of a sudden and be a Super Saiyan. Like all of a sudden I hear some mind-blowing information, I fall asleep, and all of a sudden I'm a supreme being. That's not how things work. And I could tell you from personal experience, and I could tell you just based on the reality we live in and how much of an influence time actually has. But still, this is what we need to do, right? There has to be a way to, put our emotions aside. Understand that you are going to get frustrated with the people that are deeply embedded in this program, deeply invested, right, and overprotective of the program, the same program that has been enslaving them for who knows how long, right? We have to understand that this is a very sophisticated lifestyle. Not even a lifestyle. This is a very sophisticated and complex situation we are in right now in 2017. And it is vital for all of the teachers, right, and all of the mentors and all of the guides and all of the people that offer words of encouragement to step up their fucking game and find out how they can be most effective in their craft, because that to me is how you become a expert teacher, you become a master teacher, right? Is not so much what it is you teach, but how effectively you can actually make listeners understand the message, right? That is what's so important. How much impact you really have on the people that you are trying to reach, right? And if you're trying to reach people that may not be remotely interested in what it is you're offering, well, that's where it becomes a challenge, right? Because even when we look at, you know, entrepreneurship, basic business principles, it's not even in your best interest to target anybody other than the demographic that are most aligned with your message, your service, your product, etc. Right? But I do this because this is not all that I do. Of course, I have a successful writing business. I do other marketing endeavors and just been pivoting into other roles economically. But I do this because it's what I love to do. Deep down, it's who I've always been. Nevertheless, it's also because there has been a burning desire within me to be that voice, to bridge that gap, right? To relate to the people that need help the most. Because again, man, it is a dire situation, in my opinion. The next 8 years, I believe, are very, very significant, depending on the choices people make today. You know, it it is a critical era and a critical point on the timeline right now. Okay, and ultimately, if people, there doesn't have to be any violence, there doesn't have to be any suffering, there doesn't have to be any of this type of apocalyptic scenario that the mainstream or the consensus makes it out to be. If people just chose to make minor adjustments to their lifestyles, you know, start to treat themselves better, start to treat others better, right? Start to become self-sufficient. All of these things, but I know that regardless of who's listening, regardless if you're on one or you're sober as a whistle, it doesn't matter, because I know that ultimately my efforts will not fall on deaf ears. Okay? I know from my experience that regardless if I brush off people and think they're crazy and, can't relate to them or whatever, right? In those deep moments of introspection, when the music is turned off and everybody's gone, I reflect on those types of things. And those are the seeds that I am planting, right? Those are the seeds that we all should be planting, okay? And never give up on what you do, never give up on the people that you are intending to serve, because then you are pretty much taking the baton and running the wrong way, right? So, anyway, I just wanted to share this information with you guys. And, I know there's going to be some teachers watching, there's going to be some students watching, even though we're one and the same. It just kind of depends on where we are at our point of personal development. But this is for you, right? And this is for your future. This is for your children's future, right? This is for the future of society that we reside, wherever it is you are, and the world at large. Okay? And, don't be afraid to be you, right? Regardless. If you are the type of person like me that loves to discuss, compelling topics and, intellectual conversation that stimulates the mind of others, keep doing what you do, because there's not many of you. In all actuality, there's not many of you, and there's definitely not many of you that are comfortable enough to actually try to convey these things to others, you know. But by accepting where people are mentally, right, working with their energy, finding a way to find the soft spots in their consciousness, you can bridge that gap and you can make a positive change, because ultimately it doesn't matter, man. I might not have been the most popular motherfucker in high school. I might not have been, the most abundant with friends and colleagues and things of this nature, but guess what? Because what I talked about was real, because what I talked about was authentic, because I was real with myself at all times, I was very influential. So be yourself, love yourself, and you will influence those that need you most.